What's up everyone, Orion here. If you want to know the best way to get arena points in Chapter 4 or how to place in Fortnite tournaments, I've keyed arena for all of last season and these simple strats will help you become the best fighter possible in the new chapter. Later, I'll share the #1 way to keep your mental in check while you're trying to improve because we all have off days. I'm definitely not a pro, but this is the absolute best I've found. Comment down below how your Chapter 4 is going. Have you got the umbrella? I didn't until last night. If you want to chat about other stuff like if England will win the World Cup, because we're not just Fortnite kids, right? Big shout out going to my newest sub, Sean. Thanks so much for the support, and let's get into it. Here's what I said in the first episode. If you learn one thing from this video, round peaks are alpha. Even now, 5 years from Fortnite's release, that's true. We know it's true because we react like this. Here's another example from last video. But it's still something people aren't doing, and if you make a point of abusing it, you will have an advantage in almost every box fight. But this is not to tell you off for doing things your own way and getting the wrong answer. I'm not your maths teacher.
It can't be 4 revolutions, it's gotta be 7. 7? Look at the board. It's 4. Oh my god, it's 7. 4. 7.
It's 5.5.
Back to reality, or the video game. I'll show some fights and point out what I've done well and where I completely went against this lesson. In this clip, I'm on no mats and low health, but I have this wall to use for a right hand peek. I swing in and out of it as they stay in the corner. Sometimes I just mess it up and get damaged, but one wall won me that fight. Here I drop where there's 2 people, kill one and place wall. Actually play behind the peak this time and crack them. But earlier in this first fight, I make the right edit, but still stand in the open and my opponent is gifted a freer slap than Logan Paul's editor. Please learn from my dumb plays and stand behind the peaks, because otherwise there's no point in doing them. Also, I've recently learnt jumping makes you an easier target, and makes your shot worse, so don't jump either. Here's the sloppiest peaks of them all. Not even sure I can call them peaks. Here the opponent had the advantage from below, plus they surprised me and I only got a 40.
'Tis but a scratch.
And this wasn't as bad, but it was still a 50-50 peak, and at that point I'd lost. The main thing you can see from this is when I do a right hand peak, I usually win the fight, and when I don't, I don't. So to sum up, round peaks are alpha. Use them more than you think you need, because they're a surefire way to get an advantage. If you can understand aggression is just pressuring someone into a mistake without making mistakes yourself, that's the best thing you can take away from this video. Generally, the worse someone is, the quicker they make mistakes. The pros only need one mistake to win a fight. This is how to turn a 1v2 from a death sentence to a fair fight. You cannot stop moving. W King is literally holding forward. You gotta keep them guessing with different angles, especially in Chapter 4 with how aggressive people are gonna be. But eventually you have to jump in the box, but hold off until you have a big advantage. I got a bit lucky with them dying to fall, but switching up angles is exactly what you should do in that sitch. You already know I mess up the peak to start the 1v1, and what should have been an easy fight drags out loads. So remember right hand peaks. I'm looking at you, fraggers. I do end the fight well, but I really could have done it a lot sooner. We're also going back to this fight for a sec, because there's a bad play straight after the right hand and ADS, which is another thing we should do more. It works well in this clip too against a different guy, but I run in the box when they're fully expecting me. Obviously this wasn't the correct play, but we can learn something from this about ending fights fast. The key is you pressure them one of 3 main ways. Either quickly right hand peek, which is what should have happened here, piece control their escape routes to make them a sitting duck, and finally if they're just running, the best move is actually to get in as soon as possible. Pause.
I feel bad for him, he's just spent all that time running. I know how he feels.
But how do I guarantee an advantage at the start, I hear you say? Simply spray your opponent first. I'll touch on this again soon, but literally if someone's running close, crouch walk near them and start shooting. You might get one tag, still you're up damage, you might crack them, and then you know what to do from there. Spraying someone is probably the best way to stack the fighting deck in your favour, usually without trading any damage at all.
That worked better than I expected.
All depends on if they hear you, so remember to crouch, fraggers. So I'm not saying just jump in boxes, that contradicts right hand peaks. That's what I would have done after this if I didn't scuff the peak. Anytime you have a major health advantage of around 100 or more, you are allowed to box jump. You might miss the shot, but it's a calculated risk which will end your fights quicker. And all fraggers rejoiced. Here's a perfect example. I get an advantage from a quick angle that surprises them, then I approach his box as quickly as my downright average mechanics let me. I go from below so I can maybe get a cone in. It's super easy to do, you can see it in this clip. He goes up, then once I know he's not dropping, I decide to build up and be the aggressor. Aim was a bit off there, but now I'm on height and in control. Drop from less than 3 layers and find a surprise angle. Remember when Lachlan and Fresh first 1v1'd?
You just find every angle.
Then I exploit in with an advantage, just barely hit my shot, but they're only focused on running, so I can block off this third party and kill them without worrying about being traded damage. That sums up how you become aggressive. You start the fight so you earn an advantage early, just find every angle, every surprise angle, not plays they see coming, they're no good. Pressure them to make mistakes while not making mistakes yourself. Right hand peeks will keep you safe from this.
Oh, let's go!
And if they're just running and you have about 100 health advantage, please get in their box. I'm saying this to myself too because I don't do it enough. Leading us nicely on to the third lesson. Just before that, if this video has been helpful for you so far, I'd really appreciate it if you hit the like button. Thank you everyone who's just done that, and let's get into the third lesson. You can right hand peek, you can
Just find every angle.
but you can't win if you can't hit shots, or worse, you think you're going to miss. Also, you can get surprised
Hello there.
from time to time, and as my girl Taylor Swift would ask, are you ready for it? Aim makes or breaks you in Fortnite, so however you can, get good aim and become a confident player and person in general. It helps you in every other area of life. This quote from the hockey player Wayne Gretzky applies to pretty much everything worth doing. Just ask her out. Be confident in exams because you need it to do your best. And for goodness sake, believe that you can max pump someone in the box. Don't lose confidence. A game is never over until you've lost all your health. Even if you've not aggressed properly, the right hand peek wasn't quite right. You can still save yourself if you're confident enough in your aim. Of course, if you want to practice your aim, which I recommend, there's codes for all the best aim maps in the description. Aim is the only mechanical related lesson because it's the most important one. There's no point building St. Paul's Cathedral in front of your enemy if you can't hit your shots. Ninja put it quite simply a few years ago.
Hit your shots, kid. It's quite simple.
This is why all the boomer content creators have pretty bad mechanics, but can still drop a 20 bomb. So yes, you are probably going to miss a lot of Excalibur and or shotgun shots, but once you've took that first step of faith and actually gone for them instead of fearing what would happen, as well as training your aim, you gain confidence in those skills, which can turn into a kill every time. That's what I did with snipers last season, and I got clips like this.
Yes! Oh!
Oh, that would have been a great
Dead!
Obviously, don't get overconfident, it's pretty linked to not being over-aggressive. Just know when your back's against the wall, you can almost always bail yourself out with a good and confident shot. Now we've got at least another season of duos, so I think it's important I tell you the key things to be a good teammate. Stick together. You've heard it so much already. Of course there's some exceptions, but 95% of the time you need to be right next to each other. If I didn't come to Taylor's side, he would have died, but I got there just in time, killed the first guy, and used tip 1 on the second. And in this clip, I do a bad edit, not behind a peek at all, but Rex was a great teammate and got the angle from behind to finish them off. The second thing you should be doing as a good teammate is countdown sprays. This is a brilliant aggressive start to a fight, and as a team you can have a guaranteed knock minimum if you do it right. Crouch up to the area, con which one you're shooting, usually the back guy, and do it. Be the aggressors. Start with an advantage, and if the players are scared or unaware enough, you can sandwich them, like in this clip. Another thing you can do to play as a team is if you're in fights, but there's a break in your fight, look over to the other enemies and see if you can make the kills a bit easier for your mates. This technique is called cross spraying, and I learnt it about a year ago from Jiving TV. Finally, when you're dead, make sure you tell your teammate how many mats they have, how much damage they've done to a guy, so how weak they are, and any plays they might not be thinking about, but could win them the fight. Instead of complaining about your death, stay positive for your duo, and you'll be back up in no time, ready to win that tourney game. So to sum up, stick together on your rotates and in your fighting as much as possible. Countdown sprays are the best way to knock someone quickly, cross spray during breaks in your fights, and hype your teammate up when they solo clutch. Earlier I promised to share the #1 tip to make sure you don't get frustrated on this great journey of improvement. We're all going to have bad games and bad days where we mess up on this stuff. But do me a favour and make a conscious decision not to let the losses get you down. Remember the good things you did in that game and that day, and use that to keep you going in an arena session or tourney, because bad vibes equals bad result. And please don't beat yourself up when you VOD review. I do this a lot in all areas of my life, so let's get better together without making yourself feel bad. And that's everything I've learned. This video is quite challenging to make, but I hope you got at least one good thing out of it. You can check out the rest of the playlist here if you want to become even more of a well-rounded fighter. Don't forget to leave a like, share with your friends, and please subscribe because it helps us both out. Thanks everyone, and I might see you in the playlist, or in a few days for my last 2022 upload. Peace.
Oh my god!
Oh my gosh!